So this deck was pretty fun. Which is kind of funny to say because there's a lot of like interesting like once you're locked, you're locked. I think that's just the kind of thing you have to accept if you're playing against this deck. But there's like a lot of interesting things and decisions about maximizing all of your odds and like figuring out where things are going with this deck that I really enjoy. I think are really interesting if you're playing it at least. So the Jun matchup feels bad but solvable is how I would describe it. I think that there's a lot of hoops to jump through, but I think that if you have more abrupt decays, it gets better for you. I think that decay is pretty important there. Um, I guess scavenging ooze, the number of that card they have versus like the number of hangerback walkers or other like Huntmaster of the Fells also changes it. Though Huntmaster is actually a problem because you can lose to that card. Weird. Like you can just get like flipped, and die. So you need to be able to kill that. I guess Abrupt Decay kills that too. So I think that if that's a concern, you might want like a third decay. You don't want a ton. Oh, you maybe want all four there. Um, Also, maybe Abzan's worse than that, than an actual Jund. To be fair, I guess Dark Confidant's a card in theory. You can maneuver it to kill them with their own Bob. Anyways, so that's a problem. I just boarded wrong against the Delver deck, the Pyromancer Grixis Delver deck, and that's definitely a winnable matchup. Um, there's just a lot of room to work with this deck, which is weird to say considering like it really just falls apart sometimes if you don't assemble your kill early or your lock early. Um, but it's certainly a different experience than a lot of modern decks, and it feels oddly close to like a weird cantrip combo deck from Legacy for a deck that just has Ancient Stirrings as a cantrip. Um, a lot of the main decks really put together well. A lot of the pieces, like this third spell Spellskite might not be necessary. The second Pyrite Spellbomb might be a different card. The Aether Grid's kind of a concession to time. Um, the sideboard, you can push some of the numbers around, but it's a pretty tight main deck to fit together. Um, I definitely looked into playing it again. I don't know if I'd play it at a. I don't think this is a Pro Tour deck because the Pro Tours tend to be significantly Jund heavier than any other tournament. But I think at a Grand Prix, the Jund decks are pretty diluted and also um, tend to lose a lot of ground because people just play random stuff a lot more at a Grand Prix. So I think that the Jund percentage might be low enough that, the matchup's not great. It's maybe winnable, but like you get to play against more free rolls, just decks that don't do things that interact with you, which is weird. Also saying that this deck, like Modern's, like full of all these degenerate things, but at the end of the day, this is still like an Inquisition of Replicate like deck with a disruptive shell beyond that. So like, there's just a lot of decks in Modern that like are randomly just would beat the crap out of like what should like they should just beat the crap out of a mid range deck. But like you just have so many weird answers that you should just crush them. Like they're like, oh yeah, I've got this deck and it's like great this and this. You're just like Inquisition, Pith Needle, Surgical. You're done. Good luck. Gabe 2, I know all your deck. You're dead. So I guess where I'm getting at is I would take this deck for a spin. This is not the last time I've picked up this deck. This is not the last time I will be picking up this deck for sure. Um, and I kind of hope it sticks around because it's, as you could see in those games, it's not, Zach was right. Once you start killing your opponent, the turns are pretty straightforward for both of you. And the execution of that kill is not super convoluted or slow unless your opponent makes it that way.